Well, this is the Three Sheeps Brewery. We moved in here back in December of 2011. We had our permits finally taken care of back in February, and we've been brewing ever since. We have a 10-barrel brew house that we can currently produce up to 60 barrels a week on. So when we get up to that point, we'll be running 3 double batches a week. And what's nice about this building is we have plenty of room to expand. We have the capacity in here to take ourselves up to about 8,000 barrels a year. I started brewing about 7 years ago. My wife bought me just your plain Jane homebrew kit, and started off with making a brown ale that turned out drinkable. So it was a nice start, and I just fell in love with it from there. About 2 years ago, I decided that I was going to give up the life of concrete and go into beer. So I began taking coursework, Siebel Institute in Chicago. I knew I needed the technical. At that point, I knew enough that I didn't know enough. I tried to go back and take coursework, and I've read more books under the sun than you can think, and it's all chemistry. Everything from you just looking at the flow of beer through your beer line to 90-degree bends and what that does to it. It all affects it. So I knew I needed that grounding before we could even start this. So I realized I wanted to do a packaging brewery. Just really focus on the beer. Hops Haven was still in operation at that point, and unfortunately for them, they went out of business about 1.5 years ago, and it opened up this facility for us. So I got wind that the new owners of the building were only interested in the bar and restaurant portion, and we're going to actually sell the equipment out of state. So I approached them, made them an offer on the equipment, and I'm just a tenant in the building, and we get to just make beer. We're making good, solid, drinkable beers, and I think so far people have been responding well to them, and we're getting a great loyal following. And I think that's where we're going to have our niche is. Everyone's making big beers right now. We just want to make something you can enjoy. Right now, bubbling away, we have our ankle biter. This is the ankle biter. This is our amber ale. We wanted to do something unique for, I guess overall, we try to do something a little different for all of our styles. To make our amber, we started off with a Belgian Abbey single. It was what the monks drank in the 12th century when they were working the fields because they couldn't trust the water. So the idea of that working monk beer just always got me chuckling, and I thought that was a great idea to start out for our session beer. So we started with the Abbey single, which was 3%, and we knew we couldn't have that for a beer. So we took it up to 5, and then add a little body to it, things like that. But we were having issues with, as Belgians are, they're a little, they're sweet. They're not really a session beer by definition. So we played with a bunch of different things to balance that out, and we realized that once we added rye malt to it, it really balanced it, because you had the sweetness on the front of your tongue, the spiciness on the back, and it just washed it away. So it became a beer that was just, left with a clean palate, and you could drink quite a few of. The ankle biter 2 weeks ago picked up the fan favorite award at the Kohler Festival of Beers. There were 100 plus beers from 37 breweries across the country, and we were voted fan favorite. To have an award in the first 3 months of our brewing just blew us away. And for us, since none of our beers fit into the style categories, we can't enter most of the competitions that are out there. So we need the fan favorites to give us any of our accolades, and to pull our first one is just amazing. I mean, we're still smiling about it. Right now we have 3 beers. The first is the ankle biter. The second is our bad boy black wheat. And this beer has really been picking up a lot of steam for us. The concept behind this was we knew we wanted to have a dark beer in our portfolio. I didn't want to do a porter because there are so many great porters made in this state. So we were looking at what else we could do, and the black wheat just came to mind as a fun category that, well, it didn't really exist. So we figured we could have a lot of leeway with it. And we played around a bunch of different wheat bases, different darkening malts, and it wasn't until we found a blackened wheat malt that we really discovered that we got something here. The Bad Boy is actually shaping up to be our lead beer, which to have a dark beer be your flagship is pretty unique, which I think says a lot about this beer. The Cirque de Wit is our third beer. Cirque de Wit, again, we were trying to do something a little bit different with the wheat. I like to taste wheat when I drink a wheat beer, so we put a lot of raw wheat in there in the mash. So when you drink it, you can definitely taste on the back end that dryness, that earthy wheat flavor. And to balance that, we use a Belgian yeast. So on the front end, you get the estery fruitiness of the Belgian yeast. In fact, we ferment it at a warmer temperature, so it really is pronounced there. So when you smell it, it's almost as if we put the fruit in there for you. So then you don't have to, which is always nice. We want beers that just you can have a few of, and are just going to be a kind of a part of whatever you're doing. They don't have to be the focal point of what you're doing. And that's a big basis for what we want. And down the road, we want to get a little more creative then, and just really kind of push the envelope. The IPA, we got away from that drinkability idea that we had initially wanted to found the brewery on. How it went back is, I used to make an IPA that it was always on tap, that was 220 IBUs. It was extremely drinkable. Now the problem I ran into was when you start brewing, you have to get hop contracts. Of the 5 hops I used, I couldn't get 3 of them. One I couldn't get till 2015. So I tried to keep this extremely hoppy beer drinkable using a myriad of different hops, and it just didn't really come together. I forced it at that point. So it was, I'd call it really our first learning lesson in the world of brewing. Is it did appeal to some people. It still is on tap here and sells very well. It's got a good fan base, and I can't wait to come out next year with a different double IPA, extremely hoppy. Have a lot of fun with it, but we pulled it for right now. We're retooling an IPA that will be more drinkable, more easy to palate and have a few of, and just be a part of the conversation. We're available Green Bay down to Racine, over Madison, Milwaukee, Fox Valley. Our start has been much faster than I expected. So it's been great. I mean, the people are responding well to the beers. So I'm looking forward to getting into bottles in August. We're waiting on approvals right now for labels, as is all brewers get to deal with, and then we're going to start going. We can't wait. 6 months down the road, I'd love to be comfortable with 4 beers year-round, a seasonal, and flirting with the occasional experimental, whether it be a barrel-aged or sour or something, just to always keep it interesting. The one thing that we're keeping central to our brewery, and we never want to lose sight of, is the idea of our really cool water slide. That's the name of our IPA, and the origin story behind that one came from an old t-shirt of mine. There was a little guy at a crossroad. Arrows in one direction pointed to fame, fortune, money, success, power. The other way pointed to really cool water slides, and he had no idea what to do. And it's very much, anyone who knew me knew that that's kind of where I was. I had a great career path, working the family concrete plant, doing that. I could have done it for the rest of my life, but that other thing was always calling at me. So the water slide theme will always be big for us. Trying to help other people find what their water slides are. It's something that we never really want to lose sight of, and we never plan on, because it's what makes this fun. It's still not a job to any of us. It's been great. We put together an awesome group of people who really appreciate the opportunity that this brewery brings for all of us, because we have the chance to make beer for the rest of our lives. So it really is every day just a fun place to be.